Hello, this is a tutorial on a product called Quizizz. Quizizz is a free multiplayer classroom review or assessment tool. It can be used for formative assessment. It can be used for working in teams or in groups. And if you're looking for a game or to gamify a classroom lesson, this could be something that you would consider. There's no downloads. Can be played on a laptop, desktop, Chromebook, or mobile devices. If you are using mobile devices from a student perspective, the students do have apps. There's an Android and an iOS app that can be downloaded, and they can actually participate with this tool on their smartphones. You don't need an account, but you can, if you don't have an account, you can't keep the results of the activity and the ability to reuse a activity. If you create a lesson, a quiz for a particular lesson, and you're going to have that lesson again in another version of the same class or next semester, you won't be able to use it. You will have to rebuild it from scratch if you don't have an account. So it's a good idea to consider having an account. You can sign up using Google, your Google credentials, or any email. It can be used real well in a face-to-face environment because you can actually use it like a game situation. The questions are presented on the screen, and then you as the instructor get to establish how long students have to come up with the answer. And so you can use the tool as a gaming tool inside a face-to-face classroom, but it can also be used in online as well, just from a review or an assessment point of view. Even though you won't have people playing at the same time, there can still be that time element in that the student can score more points the faster he or she comes up with the correct answer. So Quizizz.com is how you go ahead and get started. So this is the screen. This is what it looks like here. So if you just wanted to go ahead and, again, create a quiz and play the game, if you will, you could do that right here. But as I said, it is going to be beneficial for instructors to create their own account. So you would go into sign up if you haven't created an account. And again, you can sign up with Google or sign up with your email. And then once you already have a login, you can go ahead and sign up. So once you sign up and sign in, you will get this screen. And basically there are a number of quizzes. These are the most popular quizzes right now. Usually about a dozen of them. Well, it looks like a little more than that. And so if you just want to get an idea of what these will look like, here's an exam practice. So if I hover on this one, if I actually click on it, you'll see that there are 10 questions. And if you look over here to the right side of the screen, these are all the questions. And I could just click play. I can full view on one screen. And there's some quizzes that are already created that are publicly shared. So you can identify whether or not there's something in here for you. You can add quizzes to this library. You can search by topic or by general category, or you can create your own, which is what we're going to do now. So over here to the left menu, there's a Create a Quiz button, which we're going to click on in a moment. I do want to show you that once you create a quiz or multiple quizzes, you will be able to find them here. Reports is an area where once you have one of these quiz games that is live and gets played, you'll have the ability to produce reports, which is essentially an Excel spreadsheet. So let's go into creating a quiz. And so we have the ability to import from a file. This is a new feature in this latest version of Quizizz. We can add a quiz image if that's something we want to do, or we can give the quiz a name. Public and private. Public is the people who are going to get access to the link for this quiz. They will be able to view it and play it. And then private means you're the only one who can see it. So I say done. And so again, I'm going to have the ability to create questions along the way. In order to do that, here's my question box. Again, there can be an image. So I could add an image and then have the students answer a question related to that image. That image can be any type of the typical types of images that you may think of. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to enter a question. So I've typed in my question. Something else to know is the default is going to be the students will have 30 seconds to answer this. Now I can actually adjust this all the way down to 5 seconds and all the way up to 15 minutes in these listed intervals. If I'm going to leave it alone, the 30 seconds again is the default. And now my question is pretty much just in words. I do have some numbers, percentage, number of years, and dollars, but you do have the ability to get a little bit more sophisticated with a math editor if you wanted to have those types of questions. So I do want to point that out. So at this particular point, all I have to do is go down to my answers here. I must have 2 answer choices, so you could make this a true and false if you wanted and have true and false for the selection. And all I have to do is type in my choices. And I'm just going to put in 4 here. But again, you have to have at least 2. Once you get all the answers in, you'll identify the correct answer, and then I can move on to another question. And as you can see here, at least 2 options are required. I do have the ability to duplicate a question if I wanted to add another question but have it be very close to that similar question rather than having to retype. I could do that. And if I want to delete a question, I can delete the question. So I'm going to go ahead and create some more questions here. So I have created my questions and provided the answers, and now I'm going to go over here and click Finish. Okay, once I click Finish, I can categorize this. I'm going to categorize it as a university to university. Now maybe you might decide based on your questions that they maybe could be 9th grade or senior year in high school or what have you. You can pick the area that they're in. I'm going to say Other. And then in order for people to search and find these quizzes that they may want to use, you could give it tags if you're going to have different tags. You just separate them with a comma. So when you're all said and done, you finish and create the quiz. So the quiz is now created. You can see what it looks like. You can actually assign it for homework, or you can play it live. You have those options. And you can edit the quiz, duplicate it, print it, delete it, share it, so forth. So you have those other options as well. The share is the usual share. You get a shareable link, which you can copy, and then you have the social media types of shares, where you just send it to those appropriate places. So we have our questions, and let's go ahead and put a participant in this game, and let's play it. So I'm now going to play the game. And so when you play the game, you are given some choices for game settings as well as question settings. So the question settings, really quick, all of the defaults are on. That's what this means by this little circle being all the way over to the right. You can just click and make things gray and move that circle to the left if you decide that you don't want to do that. So if I don't want to shuffle the questions, I don't want to shuffle the answers. If I don't want to show the answers after the question is addressed by the student, show quiz results, so forth. Obviously, you have to decide whether you want to do that on any of the question settings itself and then the game settings. Again, if you're going to do this as a game in a face-to-face classroom, you may want to show the leaderboard, question timer, so that this is set to default to the faster you answer the question, the more points you accumulate. Show the memes, that's the funny picture after each question. You might decide that that's a little bit more childish than you would like. You don't want that. If not, move it over here, otherwise it shows. And then the play the music on the student devices. Now again, if you're doing this in a face-to-face classroom, that might not be something you want. If everybody's got their devices on, they have their sound on, it could get to be a little much. And then you have different meme sets. This is the default, the quiz default. You can do heroes and villains and go that way. Okay. I'm just going to leave that alone. I don't want to play the music. There's also some additional choices that you have here. So at this particular point, we're going to hit proceed. And so we have our game ready to go. So anybody who wants to participate in the game on any device can go to join.quizizz.com. And then this is the game code that they will enter. And once you see them entering, you will see this number of students move from 0 to whatever the number of students are that you have in the class again, if you're doing it live. This is the name of the quiz. This shows you that there are 4 questions. And then once I hit start, the quiz is available for students to enter and start participating in the quiz. Now the quiz will work as the students join. The first question will come up. They will then answer. The timer will start based on the time that you actually set at the beginning when you were creating the quiz, and then it will advance as the student does the work. So everybody's got their own question. They're working on it on their time as they advance. So I'm going to go ahead and open up side by side. We'll have a student actually participating in this particular quiz, and you can see how it works. So I've split my screen here. On the left you have the instructor view, and on the right you have a student view who has just gone to quizizz.com or joinquizizz.com. Or they could also use a mobile device and the particular app. So they're going to go ahead and say join a game. And so they're given this place to enter the 6-digit code. So this code you'll have to provide to your students in order for them to be able to participate in this particular Quizizz. They type that in and they say proceed. Now they're going to enter a name. Now if you're doing this for fun and you don't really care, people can enter whatever name they want, or they can just enter their first name. But if you're going to be keeping track, maybe using this for a review or something along those lines where you need to keep the score, you may want to have them enter their full first name, last name, that type of thing. I'm just going to put student 1 in for right now, and I'm going to say join the game. So you can see here it's going to come up with this little avatar for me. That's going to be me. You can see that student 1, again, this would be the person's name. They're the first student into the class. And so you can see up here in the top right corner we have the 687513. That's the game code. And we can see here, that's the same game code. We have a student here. Again, if you had 15, 20 students in your class and you wanted them all to participate and they're all using their own device, that you would want to wait to start the game until everybody was in, so you knew everybody was ready to go. You could also do this in groups where maybe you have 3, 4 people sitting at a table and they're using one device, and so they're working together on the game. And if you're going to do that, you might want to leave the default to 30 seconds, or you might want to make it a little longer, maybe depending on the complexity of the questions. Maybe it's a math problem that they have to work through, so you might want to give them, let's say, 2 minutes for the question. Once the timer gets there, if they have not answered yet, or whatever answer they have locked in, that's where it stops, and they would move on then to the next question. So I'm going to go ahead and hit start. Excuse me. And when I do that, you can see it's counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we're going to begin. Okay, so at this particular point, you will see on the right side here, you will see the student getting that same 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown. So they get the countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And so now we have our questions. You see the timer moving here, so the faster I answer this and get it correct, the more points I will have. So what type of calculation would you make? So I'm going to answer the question. I got it correct, and I got 760 points. And so it's going to show my rank, and then the second question pops up. Okay. 0 points because I got it wrong. And then obviously see what's happening over here as you can see the progress along the way. 950 points, I answered that relatively quickly. And then there's one more question. Again, if you had all of your students listed here, it'd be different. I have this table, present value of ordinary, present value of an annuity stream. Okay, so I have that. Okay, so at this particular point, we now have the final results all done. First place, yay. So we can see the result, 75% accuracy. We can play again. I can download to Excel. We can review the questions. This is the nice thing from the student's perspective, is they have the ability to look at the entire test and see everything they got right and everything they got wrong. So kind of valuable if you want to use this as kind of a fun way maybe to do some review before some important assessment, a midterm, a final, that type of a thing. Okay. From an instructor point of view, you also get the game highlights. So you get a list of what was the toughest question, what was the longest question, in other words, what question took them the most amount of time. So then you can just kind of think through as you're working on maybe creating more. Was it because there was a lot to read, or was it because this was kind of a tough one that they really needed to do some critical thinking? Interesting fact, class accuracy, and this can kind of help you not only if this was being used for a review perspective and maybe what you might need to spend a little bit more time on before you get to that final assessment, or as you build the next quizzes for a different topic, it might help you maybe improve the type of questions that you're putting in should the results not be what you would need. And again, I have the ability to download it as an Excel file. And so I have the Excel results going to be pulling up shortly. This takes a little bit of time. I think the first time I did it, it took about 30 seconds. And then here's my results here. So again, Quizizz. It's a free multiplayer classroom review or assessment tool. There's no downloads. There's nothing to buy. It is free, and it works on computers, Chromebooks, and mobile devices. Thank you.